streaming.
I'll wait till I see it, and then I'll tweet it. You guys ready for this?
Oh, I'm
ready for spaghetti.
Can you pump my headphones a little bit?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Nope, never mind. It was just this bullshit.
Oh, it's the same thing as always?
So annoying.
You'll get there.
All right. Yeah, you look a little washed out, I think, because of the sunlight and shit.
Oh, that's probably true.
But you're fine.
I also shouldn't be starting this on me. It should be on you.
I say keep that shit on you the whole pod.
I'm the star. I'm gonna be a star. Just let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready whenever you guys are.
Oh, you want me to start it?
Sure.
Okay, let's start it.
Breathe really hard into that.
You're listening to Thunderheads, a podcast for Thunder fans by Thunder fans.
Welcome to Thunderheads. I am Brandon Soul, joined by the leader of the mob, Sir Jacob Niffen.
Hello, hello.
And it is the dark and stormy Jason Lewis.
Yes, sir.
Just the three of us today.
Just the three.
Just the three of us.
Rob is sickly, right?
Yep. He's got cough death or something.
He said he's losing his voice,
So the whooping cough.
which
Is that what he
seems
has? The
it
whooping
could be
cough?
the
It could
whooping
be.
cough. Does anyone say whooping?
Whooping.
Whooping cough is
They
what
should
I
say
said.
Whooping
that.
cough's gonna whoop your ass.
And then Justin is on the verge
He's
of
Sumer boonering.
he's probably doing that.
that sounds.
I think he might be out of town.
ironic.
He seems to be out of town a lot.
He goes places.
You know, reel him in.
Likes to be out on the countrysides.
Out on the town.
I don't know what that means.
Today we're going to discuss the Thunder's clutch time issues. We're going to ask what the Thunder's biggest overall issue is. We'll play a game of legitimate or preposterous, and we're going to dive into the Reddit mailbag. But first, your disaster of the week. This one's pretty funny. This guy is making 911 calls great again. A Florida man being chased by police phoned 911 and asked a dispatcher to contact the White House so he could speak to his close friend, President Donald Trump.
Interesting.
We made a deal, marijuana suspect Eric Friedberg said of his relationship with the president during a bizarre emergency call early Tuesday. The appeal didn't work. Collier County Sheriff's deputies caught Friedberg, who's 33 years old, after a 7-mile car chase, despite his attempts to weasel out of trouble, invoking Trump, blaming Jews,
Oh, God.
and claiming his mother had been in an accident. Deputies booked him on charges that included aggravated assault of a law enforcement officer, battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting an officer with violence, tampering with evidence, and possession of marijuana.
And disliking Jews. Yeah, this sounds like Trump's best friend.
He was jailed on $99,500 bail. It all started when a deputy noticed a marijuana-like scent emanating from a vehicle parked in a post office parking lot. The
That's
officer,
where I always like to smoke weed.
what a
In
weird
the
place.
post office parking lot.
I mean, what is
Why-
it? What is
why?
this? He's like, this will be good. This will be good.
No one will notice me here in this federal parking lot.
In the place that people come and go
Yeah.
so often. All right, I lost my place. Yeah. Okay, so they found him in the post office parking lot. The officer looked inside the car and saw a baggie containing a green leafy substance. When he tried to confiscate the baggie, Friedberg allegedly grabbed it and stuffed it into his mouth. So he just
man.
ate it.
He
My
just
man.
Be pulled the Super Troopers.
I want to know if like he saw the cop out of the window, and then was like, "Oh shit!" grabbed it, and then just like, ate it right in
So
front of
did
the
he
cop.
eat it like plastic baggie and all?
That's a good
Sounds
question.
a lot like he did.
It does not go into detail with that.
Interesting.
Then he sped away. Friedberg sped away and called 911 while he was being chased. He said, "I need help, please." Friedberg
This is polite.
told the dispatcher, "There's a police officer chasing me." The 911 operator reportedly told Friedberg to pull over, but the fleeing driver had some requests.
Oh, shit.
He was asking, call my mom, please call my mom." When that didn't work,
Doesn't he have the phone to call his mom?
yeah, and said
Hang
he's
up
on
with
911.
Wait. None of this makes sense. Well,
So let's recap.
yeah.
Okay, so he gets busted for basically smoking pot in the post office parking lot.
Yes.
Decides to run from the cops when they're trying to arrest him.
And then he calls 911 to call his mother,
Probably now because he's just blitzed out of
flustered,
his
yeah.
mind because he just ate a ton of weed.
which I'm assuming that the bag disintegrated. Maybe he just ate the weed out of the bag.
That's true.
Sounds more like
I think you're getting hung up on that detail.
Yeah, we should move on.
Yeah, and then he calls 911, asking all these requests. Call my mom, please. That didn't work. He pulls out his Trump card.
Hey, I
He
see
said
what you did there.
He said, Donald Trump is a close friend of mine. We made a deal, he said. He added cryptically, it wasn't his fault. It was the Jews who fucked me. Not Donald Trump. It was the Jewish community.
Holy
Wow.
shit.
What is he talking about?
I'm assuming by fucked me, he doesn't mean literally.
Well, no.
And it's more of a metaphorical
Yes.
fucking.
They planted it in his car at the post office. Is he talking like directly about this this incident, or is he speaking on like a broader sense?
There was a previous deal that he and Trump had working after he
What are,
read
like,
the art
the-
of the deal.
What's like the percentage chance that this guy has a swastika tattoo?
I'd say that's pretty high.
15.
Oh, 15? That's low.
I guess I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he just didn't go get a swastika tattoo. I mean, that's
a pretty good thing to do.
yeah. When that didn't work, he tried another excuse after trying the Trump card. He said, "My mom called me and said she was in a car accident. My flesh and blood was in a car accident, and I have to stop and help you?" ? Talking to the 911 operator who's constantly telling him to pull over. And the entire recording is on SoundCloud. You can search for it. It's like a 6-minute 911 call. It's pretty funny. So officers eventually stopped him and arrested him. Deputies said they found glass pipes with burnt leafy residue. Why not just say marijuana residue? Burnt leafy residue.
Because he was smoking mints.
So they found that, and he tested positive for marijuana. Or no, the pipes tested positive for marijuana. I guess they probably didn't test him.
So they tested it, and now they're still saying leafy substance? Jesus Christ. Just saying that.
Just say it. So Friedberg's Facebook page lists him as an apprentice and executive assistant to the CEO at Trump Financial in Miami.
Oh!
Yeah. That's
Is it
that's
just
it.
his
Look at his mugshot.
Oh my god.
I don't know if you're not
What
watching the video.
hell?
If you are, I'll show you. Like, I don't know if they
Oh,
if they
God.
just beat him to death, but
Or did he beat himself to death to make it look like the cops beat him?
or was it the Jews and that's what he was talking
Oh!
about? Oh, that's not good. Not
If
good.
any people that are listening to us are Jewish, we have nothing against you. Just
Yeah,
so
not
you
at
know.
all. Not at all. That was just
This dickhead, though. No, I'm not
yeah.
pointing at Brandon.
Yeah.
I'm pointing at the computer.
that was a crazy story, so I wanted to share with everyone. And I kind of wanted to set a lighter mood for what Thunder fans have
we
been
needed
going
that.
through before we dive in. Just kind of set a foundation of, hey, it's not all that bad, right?
Yeah, at least
Look
we're
what
not
that guy.
guy.
Yeah, look what that guy had to go
Huh?
through. All right, so no rundown today since we don't have Rob, but this week it was not much going on this week. Just 2 games. Had the Bulls, beat the Bulls, took care of the Bulls. We talked about it on our last podcast, 92-79. Went down to San Antonio last night, played an amazing 1.5 quarters, and then all downhill from there. Lost 101-104. Carmelo hit seemingly the tying 3.
Not so
Called it a
fast.
2, foot on the line, barely on the line, although there's been some pictures that have come up where people have zoomed into it. I don't know if it's at the moment that he took the shot
Right.
or if his foot had completely landed, but it looks like maybe it was a hair behind the line. But they called it a 2 on the floor, so you can't really overturn it.
Yeah, they didn't really. I don't think they had enough evidence to overturn that because it was like the closest that you could be without
Yeah, it
being
was
on
insanely close, but
It's that Spurs game, it's a weird game because you look at the final score. Say you didn't watch it, right? Say you weren't able to watch it, and you see the score. You're like, they went to San Antonio, they lost by 3. To be expected. San Antonio's a good team. They're good at home. I don't
Even
know.
without Kawhi and Tony Parker.
That's true.
That
But
kinda doesn't look
Spurs
right.
are 9-6 going into it. They're 10-6 now after that. Thunder needed that win. I thought that was a big game for them to get that win. Kind of gain a little momentum going forward, right?
Right.
It seemed like they had it together in that first quarter. We were seeing glimpses of what we saw against Boston in that first half. They were up 41-18, and then it just kind of all fell apart. I don't know. How'd this game in its entirety leave you feeling afterwards? As a fan, probably angry a little bit,
Yeah,
but just kind
frustrated.
of analyzing it. I mean, are you discouraged at all, or are you just kind of like where you've been?
it's really difficult to kind of articulate, because it leaves a really bad taste in your mouth, But from what I've seen, not only in that 1.5 but in the Boston game, in the Milwaukee game, and these other games, it's that when the Thunder are dialed in, when they're communicating and rotating on defense, and when they're playing offensively, what I would call, quote, the right way, moving the ball around, sharing it, making the extra pass, swinging around the horn, etc., they're legit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have these times, and, we'll get into it, but, whose fault is it? What goes awry to make them revert back to that isolation stuff, and the defense starts to struggle. When they get to that, then it looks really bad. But from what we've been seeing, for me, it's a little bit encouraging because I see when they put it together, they can put it together.
And how good they are when they do have it together in those brief moments.
Exactly. And it's just, for me, I don't know, maybe I'm just being an irrational homer, but I feel like they're eventually going to get to the point where it's not the glimpses of them putting it together, and that's just what they are. And then we'll be at a great, great place. And I'm still on the side of it's going to take some time, but these losses like this, it's seeming to become fairly common that they get this big lead and they piss it away. That's becoming really frustrating, and as a fan, it just, those good things that we're seeing don't feel so good whenever the result is another check mark in the loss column,
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look at it as a whole, if you look at it's been these clutch time issues, right? It's been, this team is now 0-7 in these games that are decided by just 6 points or less or whatever it is, 5 points or less.
Yeah.
So that's been the issue here. You look back 2 years ago, the last season with KD, team that made the Western Conference Finals, team that almost beat the Warriors, should have beat the Warriors. That team started 9-6. This team's 7-8 right now. You're talking about a 2-game difference that could be swung by a little bit of luck here and there. That luck hasn't gone their way this year. Now, to a certain extent, you create your own luck.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
You create your own luck to a certain extent. Although,
but
Carmelo's foot on the line, Wiggins hitting a off the glass three.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the big one. Like that one, I agree. You create your own luck, but that one, the Wiggins 40-footer bank three. That one's just shit. That sucks. That came off of clearly extremely blatant moving screen.
Yeah.
But so those ones that should technically be a win, right? I would argue that one should be a win.
Yeah, it probably should be. But there's no denying that they have this issue in clutch time, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe if you look at that from, I don't know, if you kind of just look at that for what it is, it screams, hey, this is a new team. This is a team that really doesn't know what they're doing. This is a team that doesn't have an identity.
Right.
And I think before you go, Jason, I think that we kind of expected them after that 3-game win streak, despite who those games were against. We expected, here it is. This is it. We saw that first quarter. We're like, this is it. They're breaking out of it, and they're ready to get going now.
Yeah.
Maybe just a little too soon. Maybe
And I think your point of them not having identity is it really is kind of the biggest thing here, and I think the identity they're moving towards is a defensive powerhouse that at some point will get their offense going, and they'll kind of work off of that defense. But a big thing when we're talking about clutch time and this Spurs game is, I think the biggest thing to me was that they didn't lose this game in the clutch. They lost this game halfway through the second quarter, and they just fell apart.
You think that's where they lost the game?
To me, we had talked about it a little bit, and as soon as they went on that 18-0 run, the Thunder did, and then after that, it seemed to me that PG kind of he started to get frustrated with the foul calls and everything like that, and it just all seemed to spiral downwards from there. And the Spurs kind of went on a little run after that. And my thing was, and I kind of mentioned this to you guys last night, I was like, they need to contain this run and kind of go on one of their own again.
Yeah.
And that never happened from that point on, and that totally had me discouraged. And at the end of the game, they fought back a little and got it close, but at that point, I feel like their confidence in themselves was already gone. And obviously, if Melo had had his foot back a half an inch.
Speaking of Melo,
it's a wholly
though,
different game.
he was the best player for the Thunder last night.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And that's not what you want if you're the Thunder. But on the flip side, it is nice that he played that way. He played a smart game.
And to what Jason said, they're developing these good defensive habits, and they're being a very good defensive team. See, I thought that's where they lost the game against San Antonio, was on that defensive end. How many times did they let Bertans and Danny Green just run wide open?
Bertans 3 for 4 from 3, Danny Green 5 for 13.
But the 5 Danny Green ones that were hit,
they were wide open.
Wide
open.
Here,
honestly, I was telling Jason this earlier. More concerning to me than those 5 threes that he made are the 13 that he attempted.
Yeah.
Why is he open for 13 shots?
That's true.
Because Spurs don't take bad shots.
Yeah.
They
And
just don't.
I don't remember seeing him take a bad three.
Maybe one that he had to fire up at the end of the shot
Yeah.
clock or something, but I don't care. You know, like, why is he taking 13 threes? Danny Green.
Yeah.
On a team that does it by committee. On a team that doesn't have a star, you know? That's more concerning to me. And a lot of times, well, really, if you look at it, it's like, isn't that why Robertson is on this team?
Yeah.
I mean, but,
Well, and there were like, so after he hit, it was like 3 or 4 of them, like Robertson stuck to him.
Yep.
He was like clinging to him for a while, and then he kind of.
Well, and then in the second half, they put Russ on him for a while.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I don't like that at all because Russ, when he wants to, can be a really, really solid on-ball defender.
Not when
but
he's getting
Russ,
screamed, though.
Russ off, yeah, that's true. Russ off ball is scary. Like he gets lost so much.
Russ just, man, he's struggling right now. He really is.
Bad.
And I think when he struggles offensively, like you're saying, 5 for 22 against the Spurs. What was he in the
I
Bulls
think it
game?
seeps into the rest
6
of
for
his
13
game.
against the Bulls. It does. And I think I don't think that is a rare thing. I think that's probably a more common thing. I think that happens with most players.
Yeah.
If you're struggling on one end, especially offensively, it's going to seep into you on the defensive end. It happens to Robertson, who's a terrible offensive player. But if he gets forced to take 3-4 threes, misses them all, airballs 2 free throws, whatever, it's going to seep into the defensive end a little bit.
Definitely.
5 for 22 though against the Spurs. Now Russ is down to 40% shooting on the season. 0 for 4 from the line, from behind 3. 5 for 5 from the line. He's shooting well from the free throw line, which is nice. Paul George, 9 for 31 in the past 2 games. I don't know. It's almost like when Russ plays well, Paul George plays well
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen
Definitely.
that some.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's something to that or if that's just happenstance or.
So I kind of mentioned this in my little spiel a minute ago, but I was going to ask you guys, do you think that PG is letting the refs dictate his game a little too much?
I think
like
he's
whenever
getting a little frustrated.
He's
yeah.
not getting calls sometimes, and like as soon as there was one basket that it was kind of where he like stumbled up to the rim and then like afterwards threw his hands up, and like after that it seemed like his game just spiraled down from there.
Yeah.
So what are you?
He spoke on that post game, didn't he?
Yeah,
A little bit.
he did. He said that, like, I gotta not let that bother me and not let that seep into my game and make me, like, be less effective. Because, and I think he's got a point. I think that he and Russ are not getting nearly the calls that they're used to getting.
Yeah,
And
that's for sure.
I really don't understand that, and I don't want to sound like this, oh, blame the refs, I'm a homer, blah, blah, blah. But legitimately, it feels like some of the whistles or lack thereof is just like worrisome almost.
I do think that the more you play the right way, the more whistles you'll get. You know what I mean?
And
refs don't typically take to guys forcing the ball to the middle of the floor and going for a foul.
And I'm gonna be honest. Like I was thinking this last night when PG took a couple shots like jumpers where he was seeking a foul.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing a better job this year of not calling stuff whenever you can see the offensive player seeking a foul, and I love that.
Yeah.
Like it sucks for
when
us
you're trying to get fouled and not trying to actually
yeah,
score.
like I'm totally for that. That helps the NBA a ton.
I think PG last night, now that we're on him, I think he reverted back to how we saw him in the beginning of the year before that players only meeting at times when he would catch the ball, dribble way too much, and dribble into a shot. And he became the ball stopper.
Yep.
And that's not good when Paul George is your ball stopper, because when this guy spots up and Russ gets a solid screen, is able to get to the middle of the floor and find Paul George on the perimeter,
Yeah, that's
it's money.
Every time.
You can see, Jacob, you brought it up earlier, man. When the ball is zipping around, it's almost an automatic bucket for this team.
The ball finds the energy. The ball finds the right shot, And so when they move it like that and they find that right shot and you got that good energy and everyone's kind of feeling on board with one another, it leads to better shots, more rhythm, and those shots typically go in the hoop,
And Paul George is around 77% from the line this year, which is 13 percent points lower than he was last year, which he was 5th in the NBA from the line last year.
Well,
77%.
It seems like 3 weeks ago he was like at 97% or something like that.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know if maybe I'm looking too far into that, but it almost is like, it just shows you there's something going. There's a little funk happening right now.
They're just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just not comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And And I think I know everybody's tired of hearing like, oh, it takes time. And we talked about that after the Bulls game even, because it wasn't the prettiest win against a terrible Bulls team. But I think this is just taking longer than everyone expected. And I mean, Justin's mentioned it several times, and somebody on Reddit yesterday brought it up about, it was actually a Spurs fan, like went on the Thunder Reddit and said like, calm down, you guys look incredible
at times,
and
they do.
It's gonna get there.
I think
it will get there.
I think you're right. I think you're right that everyone expected them to have it figured out earlier than they are figuring it out.
Yeah.
But I do think what's contributing to that is the fact that they have looked incredible at times.
Right.
And so people are so ready for that to be a normal thing that you see.
Yeah, it makes it hard.
It's like the emotions, the wide range of emotions people are experiencing right now is.
Yeah, exactly your point. Like, we're going on a roller coaster every game, and it's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And then all of a sudden you hate your life. Yeah. And it's like, well, how do I balance those two things out?
Yeah,
and like,
there's no in between.
Why can they do this for a minute and then this JV high school team comes out and sucks?
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Looks not even motivated at all.
Yeah. And so the biggest thing that's driving me nuts right now, if we can just touch on this for a second, why the hell are people just like so Russ and Melo seem to kind of be the most bad about this, but they'll like pass the ball in and they're just like standing out by the arc and like a ways from it and not at all acting interested in the play because it's not for them and they know that. So like what needs to be done to get that changed? Like what needs to be done to get action from those guys to make people think they're involved?
I think that goes back to the whole your turn, my turn type of offense, right?
Yeah.
Like Paul George will have it on the wing and Russ will stand 5 feet beyond the 3-point line and wait. And if Paul George doesn't have anything, he'll pass to Russ and then Russ will try to create something, you know, where I heard, I think it was maybe Brett Dawson said something about this on their podcast, that it's not playing with each other. It's playing off of one another. That's where they have to grow.
Yes.
Right? They can all three score, referring to the big three. They can all three score. They can all three do their own thing. They have to learn how to play off of one another. When Melo posts up and gets that ball thrown down to him, the other two can't sit back and watch. Someone's got to cut. Someone's got to flare, etc. You know, they have to learn what the other's tendencies are.
Make the defense think.
Exactly.
That's my point. It's like, you have to at least make someone think. Like, if you do a my turn, your turn, that's almost fine to me. As long as once you say, hey, it's your turn, I'm going to act like it's my turn, though, still.
Right. I'm going to at least give him options to make a play during his turn.
Or at least keep my defender interested in me.
Even if you're right. When you're playing my turn, your turn, whoever's turn it is doesn't have to mean you have to score.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It can be your turn to facilitate.
Yeah, to make a play.
Do you remember, it was like 2 or 3 years ago, I remember Pop saying that was the main thing that he saw in Kawhi that like kind of changed him, that like made him the superstar kind of guy that he's become, is that once he was like, I can drop a play for Kawhi, and he now realizes that it's not just, hey, you have to score on this.
Yeah.
It's like, it's time to get somebody to score.
Right.
And it's just my play.
Yeah, and you talked about how Russ and Melo seem to be the worst about it, you know, when they don't have the ball, when the play is not for them, they kind of just stand there. Specifically, like, I think Melo's going to be like that because he's going to be trying to stand out of the way anyways, and he's going to be available for, you know, not a pick and pop, but like a driving kick, a spot up three. Not Russ. That's not his game. So what is his game off the ball? There is none.
It doesn't seem like there has. Well, he's never had to have one.
I don't know if that's true. He had to have something with KD. There had to be something.
That's true.
I mean, I'd have to go back and look at tape. It's been so long, you know, but he's got to do something. He can't look so disinterested like that where if he gives up the ball, there's no cutting taking place. Has he ever set a screen in his life?
He's actually started to set a few this year, like a few on-ball screens, which... Just the fact that if he is willing to do that, I think that bodes well for this offense.
He has to do that.
You know?
He has to do things like that. Screens help teams win games. Go look at the stats for who sets screens and who scores the most off screens in the league. And those teams at the top.
Most off screens. You know, they don't even have to be on-ball screens. They can be off-ball screens. If Russ will go and screen to get Alex Sabrinas open, and then Russ flare back to the top.
Well, that's what I mean. That all plays into screening. You know, and the stats for screen. If you look, I mean, the Thunder are still first in the NBA in isolations. They isolate on 13.4% of their possessions. I think we expect that even if they're playing the type of basketball we would like to see them playing, they're still probably going to be up there, top 5 in isolations. However, they're scoring just 0.85 points per isolation, which is
awful.
Which is 23rd in the NBA.
Awful.
So if you have that much isolation and you're 23rd as far as your efficiency during said isolations, that's not good, man.
Yeah, change something, do something different.
But I mean, I don't know if it is as simple as change something, do something different, because I think they want to. I think they're just really having a tough time figuring this out.
And here's my thing with the isolation plays. And I want to use an example from the Spurs game because this is the one that stuck out to me so much in the sense that, and Jason kind of touched on it with the Kawhi Leonard idea. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you guys remember this. I think it was the third quarter, maybe the fourth quarter.
I was in a depressing sadness cry at this point.
Russ, Melo, pick and pop. They got the switch. So Patty Mills was guarding Melo, and Russ comes off the screen, pulls the ball back out, and then throws it to Melo in the post. Okay, and Melo's posted up about 20 feet away from the basket with Patty Mills on him. Takes 2 dribbles, turns around and takes a contested 18-foot jumper, turnaround 18-foot J, with Patty Mills guarding him 18 feet away from the hoop. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is an awful isolation play. Okay, now that isolation with Melo isolating on Patty Mills, I'm
great.
Totally okay with that because Patty Mills has no chance. Mm-hmm. You can't bail him out with an 18-foot jumper.
That's what I was about to say is he doesn't have a chance unless you take that shitty
if
shot.
If Melo catches that post pass, that entry pass, with Patty Mills on him, backs him down until the double comes and then finds the pass out of the double and the ball swings one more time, there's a wide open shot somewhere. And you're probably ending up with a wide open shot in the corner.
Melo had a really nice pass last night to Adams.
He did.
That one where Adams kind of cut back to the middle of the lane.
I was genuinely surprised when that happened. I was like, whoa, what was that?
He passed.
Yeah, that was nice.
I feel like these guys, especially the big three, they still have this idea in their head that whenever there's a mismatch, whenever I get switched and there's a mismatch, I need to isolate this person and I need to score on them. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, the wrong mindset. They need to have the mindset of, this is a mismatch. I need to isolate this so I can make a winning play.
Yes,
and
exactly.
sometimes that winning play is I isolate, and if no one comes, I can score on this guy.
Or get fouled or something.
Yeah, but I want to make the defense react to this isolation, and especially if I can get a double team and swing it somewhere else, we get a wide open shot. And I don't think that's their mindset yet. I think their mindset is, if I have the isolation, then I have to go one-on-one and score. And that's not what they need to do.
It's like they all just think and assume that they're so good individually that this is going to carry them. They can just score whenever they want, all 3 of them, and that's what's going to carry this team. And when you hear...
Didn't Paul George say something?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. So before the game, ESPN showed a little private interview they did with Paul George. Not the Marty Smith feature where they're fishing or anything, but just a little interview pregame that they showed. And Paul George said, well, something like, and this isn't an exact quote verbatim or anything, but he said something like, I think the 3 of us, me, Russ, Melo, we're so good individually that we're used to having the ball late in games. Each one of us is used to going and winning those games and stuff like that. And I was like,
because he said he said sometimes we forget that we have help.
Yeah.
He was like, we just kind of are used to winning it ourselves.
And everything that I've heard Paul George say, and maybe this is just selective memory on my part, but he basically only ever talks about him, Russ, and Melo.
What about the other guys?
What about the rest of the team? I mean, there's a lot more than just you 3 here. I mean, Steven Adams has not been the 4th best player on this team this year. He's been better than at least one of you guys this year.
That's,
you know what I mean?
So sure.
I think that I don't know. I don't know what to think about that, but something has irked me a little bit when he keeps doing that, and I'm like, pay attention to the team. Don't act like you've never had any help before.
Right.
Don't act like that you can just go do this on your own. Because even when you say that, even when you say we're so good individually that we're used to being able to do this by ourselves, because we have to remember now we have help. That doesn't just mean that you can only pass to us. You can only pass to Melo.
Yeah, that's something that I'm a little scared about, I guess, is like if this team becomes these guys and then the rest of the guys. And, like the big three and then the rest of them. Like that's not good.
No, that's not what you want. That's not what you want at all.
Sure.
Because there has to be opportunity for those other guys to have those standout games.
Yeah.
Those Adams
You need
games
them.
where he'll have 20 and 15. The Grant game that he's had a couple of times this year. Speaking of Grant, 14 minutes against the Spurs.
That's surprising.
Why? Why is it surprising? Why did he only play 14 minutes?
That's a good question. I don't know.
He's 4 for 6 from the field. A +3 on the game, 4 rebounds, 8 points, 14 minutes. Makes 0 sense.
Yeah.
After he's just been playing so well.
I don't get it.
Paul
'Cause
George plays
didn't he
42 minutes. They got to get that down. They have to
Yes.
get that
Didn't
down.
They've
Grant-
been playing Paul George a lot of
Yeah,
minutes.
they have.
Didn't Grant have 35 minutes?
35 against the Bulls. Yep.
Like, why not play him? Like,
Yeah.
he seemed to be effective.
How many minutes
Like-
did Abrinas have last night?
18.
I feel like Abrinas, his growth, not only as far as getting better at basketball, but physically, his size has made such a huge difference for this team. And I really, really feel like they have to find this guy in more positions to let him be successful.
Well, really, my thing about him, and I think we've talked about this a little on the last one, is just like you said, all of those things are great. But the main thing for him is that when his shot's not falling, he's able to do other things.
Yep.
He's able to drive and get baskets
And
in other ways.
How about in the crunch time last night when Russ drives to the hoop and
I liked
finds
that.
Abrinas in the corner? That was
Loved that. Would have been cool if he would have hit it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
The hell, Alex?
Right now, Abrinas is missing shots that I think a lot of them we expect him to make.
Absolutely.
And he's going to need to start to make some of these shots.
It's been
but,
1 for 5 from 3 the last 2
yep,
games.
but he helps himself out a lot by doing these other things that
Right.
you guys are talking about. Getting in on the rebounds. Playing pretty solid defense for what he's capable of.
He had a couple nice drives last night going to the basket,
Two games in a row that he's been aggressive driving the ball and he's not been shy.
Yep.
I mean, he had I think it was the first quarter when he first got in there. He had that drive, hit a little floater over the defense,
Yep.
and it was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
what's that?
Where's that at?
I like that."
He also had a really nice defensive stand for a second where we were talking about where he got called for a foul, but it didn't. It looked pretty clean to me. Mm-hmm. Goddamn refs.
Yeah, no, I think he's playing some good ball. I think that they have to figure out how to put him in good. I think that he should play right around 18 to 20 minutes, and I think that Grant should be playing 24 to 25 minutes.
I like that.
I agree.
I think that's what needs to happen, and that will just by default cut into Paul George's minutes a little bit, which I know
They do need to come down. You're right.
You just don't want to play him 42 minutes.
Yeah.
That's just come on. That's
Yeah.
going to wear him out, and he's going to look back at that and be like, "You guys mismanaged me." But I do think that
I'm out of here.
we have a lot of questions about it in the Reddit mailbag about Russ and everything, and so we're going to talk about it a ton. But Russ has got to be better.
Yeah.
He's got to be better.
Yeah.
5 for
He's
22.
supposed to be the best guy on the team, and he's been heavily, heavily struggling.
Yes. No. I mean, he's borderline all-star right now. That's how bad he's playing. Really, on the year as a whole. 5 for 22 from the field, 15 points. Just 2 games ago, right? What wasn't it? 2 games ago, he had a similar line. He was like 5 for 21,
Yeah.
6 for 21, for like 13 points or something. Yeah. It's like, man, this isn't gonna cut it, Russ. Not gonna cut it.
It's just like the mid-range jumper is wonky. The finishing at the rim isn't happening.
Yeah, you're right. He's not finishing at the rim at a high
shot
rate.
selection is
Yep.
strange.
It's almost like the shot selection is
best.
coming out of his frustration.
Yeah, I was actually
agree
going to
with
ask
that.
you about that. Like, it's a little bit ref frustration, but a lot. This kind of goes back a little bit to Paul George, but there was one play in the second quarter where Russ was bringing the ball down, and Adams and PG actually ran into each other at one point. They were sitting there just like staring at each other, confused.
It was like,
and then they just
the
ran
most
into each other.
perfect microcosm of what the Thunder season's in.
Exactly. And so I remember PG just like threw his hands up and was like, "What are we doing?" Like,
Yeah.
And it looked like he was very frustrated. That's gotta be frustrating for Russ also when the team doesn't seem to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, and that was the most blatant version of that.
And
but I think it's happening more where we don't see it as well.
Maybe Russ takes some blame for that, and
Could
he, as the leader of this team,
Yeah.
get
Get your guys in your spots, right?
Yeah, and not saying that maybe he deserves blame from us, but maybe he's actually taken blame on himself. He's put the pressure
Yeah.
on himself, and so he feels like maybe he's not doing as good of a job as he should be. One example last night of some less than stellar leadership from
There
Russ
was a lot of it.
was when Robertson had an open three, late shot clock, pass it to Russ cross court, who also was wide open.
Super wide open.
Still time on the clock. Russ hesitated on the shot, dribbled back into a harder shot, missed the shot, then yelled at Robertson. The broadcast also got onto Robertson. They were like, he's got to take that shot. I think it was mostly because Russ was yelling at him. So they just jumped on him too. But at the same time, if I'm Russ, really, if I'm anyone, I'm saying, I think Robertson made the right play.
Honestly, so last night, I said, ugh, Robertson.
Yeah.
And then I rewatched it today, and I completely agree with you because Robertson actually, Patty Mills wasn't that far from him.
Yeah.
And if anybody's anywhere close to Robertson, he shouldn't take a shot.
Yeah.
Anywhere close.
Even if they're not close. I mean, like, if there's another option, I'm saying.
Yeah.
If that's
And
the
Russ-
only option, you take the shot. But if Russ is open and it's late shot clock, it seems like he made the right play to me. What is Russ doing getting onto him for that?
So the only thing that I could come up with for why it was legitimate for him to get onto him was that the shot clock was so run down that at that point it was like, oh, I don't have a choice but to like huck up something that's
maybe,
not good.
And maybe he wants Robertson to have the confidence to take the shot.
I think a little bit of both of that because it was like Robertson passed the ball back to Russ with like a second and a half left on the shot clock, you know. And at that point, it's just like it's hot potato, and you're putting Russ in a really difficult position to try to make a make a shot with a second and a half left.
And Russ isn't a catch and shoot shooter at all, but at the same time, who do you want taking that shot off a catch and shoot? Do you want Robertson or do you want Russ? That's why I think Robertson made an okay play. I don't think he did anything wrong. It just bugged me that Russ, if you're supposed to be the leader, I don't like to see you treating the guys like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It kind of goes back to the thing we've talked about, like Happy Russ is typically a better Russ.
Yeah.
Or at least like Hulk Russ.
Happy Russ has been
he's
few
got
and
that
far
like
between.
attitude where he's just like kind of has that smirk
Snarling,
on his face.
yeah.
Like that's usually not a good sign.
Yeah, I don't know. The last thing I want to bring up is the pace of play that the Thunder are playing with and how slow they're playing. Do they need to figure out how to run more?
Yes, but you have Carmelo Anthony on the team. I don't
Still,
know if Carmelo's ever ran a day in his
What
life.
if you just say, F them, we're running.
Yeah.
Keep
And
up or you're not scoring, man. You know what I mean? Then he's keeping up because I got to score.
I wish that we would play at a bit of a faster pace. Part of me also thinks maybe they're playing at a slower pace because they are struggling a bit offensively.
Right.
And if they keep running and forcing like quote unquote bad shots like in transition, then that's really going to compromise. It's going to unbalance the floor. So maybe they're waiting for the for things to get a little more comfortable before they run more. I don't know.
That could be, and that's kind of I'm going off your point. Like I think it's kind of good for them to play it in the half court offense for right now to try to figure out
to prepare
how
for
to
the
make
future,
it work.
kinda?
Yeah. Which, I mean,
that makes sense.
At some point, you're going to be like, okay, well, we got to start winning games, so maybe we should start running. But
right.
But for a while, I think they need to figure out some half-court offense that works.
Yeah.
And until they do that, like, they need to work at it. Like, you have to work at it in a game for that chemistry to build.
Yeah, and in the playoffs, it's going to be a lot of half-court offense, for sure.
That's what they're looking for.
Yeah, but they're outside of the playoffs right now. No.
It's a fucking run.
I just would like to see them put the pressure on the defense more often. That's all I'm asking for.
I agree with that.
They have 18.1 transition possessions per game, which is 8th in the NBA. So they're not terrible there. 8th in the NBA. That's upper tier. They're drawing shooting fouls on 14.7% of those possessions, which is 3rd in the NBA. And they're getting and ones on 4.8 of those. 4.8% of those, which is 2nd in the NBA. So they're getting fouls in transition. That's the one place they're getting fouls.
It's the only place they're getting fouls.
They're scoring in transition, and that's kind of just where I'm at on that.
But so like on that point, like they already know that they can do that, right? Like they already know, like if we're in transition, like we win, we score on those. But in the half court, we suck. So let's try to do that. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the case, but
that could be. You just would think that you want to,
for
morale purposes, you'd want to win.
You'd want to try to win.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good idea.
I think it's just, we've talked about so many things, and it's almost like a complete soul search of who this team is and what's the matter with them. If you had to slot one problem into that number one spot, what is the Thunder's biggest problem right now?
Consistency.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a good one.
Just the
Just
constant up and
overall
down.
consistency?
Yeah, just the up and down. You know, the kicking ass in the first quarter and then shitting the bed in the third quarter. You know, like consistency. If you know, I know they're not going to be at that Spurs first quarter, Boston first half level all the time.
Right.
But they need to not constantly have those huge dips. They need to find the middle ground. They're riding the waves too much here. They gotta even out a little bit.
Big runs for this team have been almost non-existent. They just haven't gone on a lot of runs where you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, like that 18-point
Besides
run.
what you just talked about.
I think that 18-point run last night was where I was just like, holy shit.
I was in shock
This
for
is
a second.
amazing.
Look, is this really happening?
Yeah, and then I had that fear in the back of my head of like, this is going to end soon, and then it did, and then it never came back.
But during that 18-point run, the Thunder were dictating everything.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
and then I feel like once they start to, the other team starts to gain momentum and gains a little bit of control, this team panics, and that's when they revert back to that.
Yeah.
Well, and that was,
I think that's a
isolation.
great point because then they're trying to figure out, well, what do we do? Like, they can't stop us now. Like, we need a bucket. Back in the day, when those three are like, we need a bucket,
I gotta get
they
that
go
bucket.
get the bucket,
Yeah,
and now you're like,
exactly.
you
Yeah.
can't do that when you have two others on the floor.
They're making the game too hard on themselves.
Yes.
They have the opportunity to make the game very easy for themselves, and right now they haven't figured out how to do that yet.
Is
With
that a
those-
Billy D problem?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think Billy D is saying, hey, go out there and have one pass and take an isolation 18-foot jumper. You know,
Well, definitely not.
to
that
to
would
me,
be absurd if that's.
But-
all right,
but-
guys, what we're going to do tonight, Melo, as soon as you get the ball, jab step, jab step, jab step, jab step, shoot. All right?
Dribble way too long, Paul
That's
George.
the play.
I like
He
how
just-
Billy Donovan has a southern accent there and
Well,
not
yeah,
like
I
the
don't know
Long
why.
Island accent.
That's
But,
how he
like-
knows he can speak to them.
Yeah. But
Get
is that
through.
what he draws on the marker board is just jab steps? Like, how do you do that?
Just slamming the marker into the
I want you
whiteboard.
to fucking jam, 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 jam.
Mel, it's like, I got you, coach.
He's like, Coach, that's my play.
yeah, I was already going to do that. That's why I came here.
You read my mind.
All right, let's
Well-
move on.
Let's play a game.
Let's do it.
Game.
Legitimate or preposterous?
All right, Jacob's going to host this one today.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. All
right.
So, legitimate or preposterous, we have quite a few, including some of your guys' recommendations via Twitter.
Oh, yeah,
So,
thanks for doing that, by the way.
we appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll continue to do this in the future, too, for the games that have kind of been around for so long that you guys have a firm
grasp
grasp
on?
on. Yeah,
Yeah, except for who's that guy, because we don't know how the fuck to play that
there's
game.
no right way to play.
No one knows.
Or
All
wrong
right.
way.
So, legitimate or preposterous. We'll start with you, Jason. Number
Huh.
1, legitimate or preposterous. The Thunder will end with a top 4 seed in the West. For reference, they're currently 9th, and they are 4 behind the number 1 team, Houston, in the loss column.
I'm going to say legitimate.
Yeah.
They will.
That's what I would say.
They will turn this around.
I
They
agree.
will
And
do it.
if you look at the standings, the Spurs are in 4th right now, I think at 10-6.
Yeah.
You're talking 2 games here.
Yeah, and so it kind of goes back to what we talked about preseason. Like the West is a bloodbath, and it really has turned out that way.
Yep.
A lot more than I kind of anticipated even then.
Yeah, and I think like you're actually starting to see some separation in the standings a little bit, and people are starting to kind of just slot into who they're going to be for the rest of the season.
Except for us, hopefully.
Right. So I mean, if you look at it, the Thunder are at 7-8, but below the Thunder, the Jazz are 6-10, Lakers 6-10, Clippers 5-9. Who Clippers are having terrible injury issues, and Doc Rivers is apparently on the hot seat. And Suns 6-11, Kings 4-11, Mavs 2-14. I think those teams are kind of showing themselves to be the lower tier of the conference, especially the Jazz now with Rudy Gobert out. Grizzlies are 7-7. They're above the Thunder. They're missing Mike Conley for
Indefinitely,
yeah,
indefinitely, apparently.
At least a month.
which is anywhere between 6 days and
And
3
forever.
years. Yeah.
Also, it apparently went from like 2 weeks because his Achilles was sore, and now it's indefinite. So that doesn't sound.
It was a typo.
good.
It was supposed to say Tor.
Yeah, sore or tore. Who knows?
Who knows, sir? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna find their footing at some point, and they're gonna go on one of those epic, like Thunder January runs or something like that, where we just
think-
win for the whole month, and
I
everybody's
think
like,
December
"Oh,
is setting up to be. I mean, their schedule in December, I think, leans towards that.
that
Yeah.
would be very nice."
I'll have to look at the schedule, but I mean, if you do look at the teams above them, the Pelicans, who are at 8-8, and the Pelicans have been playing pretty well.
Also,
And they're 8-8. I feel
Anthony
like.
Davis just got another concussion.
Right, and he might not play Monday. I'm glad you brought that up.
Probably not gonna.
Probably not gonna. You're right. So I think the Thunder are better than the Pelicans. They're better than the Grizzlies. They're better than the Trailblazers. Hopefully, the Nuggets, Spurs, Timberwolves, Warriors, and Rockets are at the top. Which one of those? So the top four: Rockets, Warriors, Wolves, Spurs. Who's falling out of there? If the Thunder are getting in the top four,
I'm gonna go Wolves.
I think so too.
They're still young, and
yeah.
but they do
see.
look good this year. Also, the Nuggets last night looked fucking incredible
Nuggets
against but it
man.
was the Pelicans. But still, they
Nuggets.
looked nut. They were just making everything.
They've
Anyways,
been playing good ball.
next.
All right, next, legitimate or preposterous? Brandon, this one's for you.
Yep.
Something is physically wrong with Russell Westbrook. For reference, he is shooting his lowest field goal percentage and free throw percentage of his career, and the lowest points per game since his second season.
I say preposterous. 2 games ago, before the Bulls game, I would have said legitimate. And then I saw that explosiveness in the Bulls game. I saw
Those 3 dunks in a row.
3 dunks in a
Yeah.
row, some athleticism where he'd fly to the rim. I saw it on one play in the Spurs game where he flew to the rim, and I was like, woo!
There it is.
That's the Russ that I know. So I say preposterous. I don't think anything's physically wrong with him. I think that Russ, he's a veteran in this league, and we've done a lot of talking on what's wrong with the Thunder. Why is it taking them so long to figure it out? Why isn't Russ playing to how we know he can play?
The answer is because there's something mentally wrong with
I think it's slight mental because I think that he's trying so hard to make those guys comfortable. He wants someone to stay with him for past this year, beyond this year, because he's here. He's here. This is done deal. So he wants someone to stay. I think he knows regular season is not everything, especially November. He knows this.
So is this
He knows this.
Is this the problem of like the guy who tries too hard to get the girl and just ruins everything because he's trying
be.
so hard to make everything work that it just falls to pieces?
That's a fair analogy. I mean, I don't know. It
Or-
could be. I think that I don't know, but in basketball, right? If you care that much,
It's got to be good.
it'll eventually turn. I think.
I mean,
hope.
I hope so. I just predicted it would.
Do you guys think anything is physically wrong with him?
No, I don't think so. I
Rather than just natural age progression?
I never really even thought something was wrong with him. I know, like
I worried about
we
it.
had talked about
Speculation.
there was a possibility for it. I didn't really other than like him coming off the knee, whatever it was, and then not being in training camp. Like I thought that was really what it was.
Yeah.
But now I think it's kind of what you just said. It's really trying so hard to get these other people involved and get everything working. So
And it's hard too when you watch him because we think that on one side, and then on the other side, when you watch him play, you're like, stop it.
yeah, just
Like,
quit.
just play your game.
Yeah.
Just play your game,
Just
man.
be Russell again, please.
Next.
Next one, Jason, we're coming back to you. Legitimate or preposterous?
Uh-huh.
Paul George is a more effective player without Melo.
I'm gonna say legitimate.
That's the correct
I think
answer.
whenever he's on the floor by himself or with just Russell,
Mm-hmm.
he is a much better player. I think part of it might even be just because he's trying to get Melo the ball too.
Yeah.
Like, and
That's a good point.
It's kind of like what you talked about earlier, where he only sees the other 2 of them on the floor and not the other guys. Somehow,
Although he finds
But
Adams
he
here
does.
and there.
With Adams, he does. But I think that happens a little less with Melo on the floor. I'm not sure. I have
I know-
no
right.
statistics to back that up. Just
I would agree with
test.
you. I would agree with you. I think that they get in each other's way a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that they like the same areas of the floor.
Yeah.
And I spoke
That's a
about
good
that
point.
before the season started. That was my only concern about I knew it was going to take them a while to figure things out because they do like the same areas on the floor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would also go legitimate. I'd be on board with Jason there.
Nice. All right. Brandon, we're coming back to you. Legitimate or preposterous? By the end of the season, OKC will have made a change at the starting shooting guard.
Oh shit!
This is a perfect question for me.
It
Who's
is,
been talking about this
'cause
for the
I
past
would've-
couple weeks?
We all know what I would have said.
Legitimate.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right. So is the change on the roster, or are they making a move?
I think it will be on the roster for now. That's where I would lean.
So what,
and it's-
Arenas?
And I have to keep saying this because I think it'll be Arenas, and it's not because I think that Andre Robertson is doing a bad job. Like I
I didn't want to have to jump over this goddamn table.
I'm
so that's
so
good.
far from an Andre Robertson hater.
I
Like
know
I'm
you
not like that. Like last year, I stood up for the guy, time and time again. But this year, I just don't see his fit with the starting lineup as much.
I think having Paul George kind of makes Andre redundant a little bit.
A little bit. And when you look at the numbers, okay, net rating on the floor, Abrinas has the best net rating on the floor. Now, I know this goes into lineups that he's playing with sometimes, and Robertson is mostly with the starters, and their offense hasn't been great, and yada, 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 and their defense has been great. Robertson, I mean, the net rating for the defense when Robertson's on the court is drastically different. It's drastically better.
Yeah,
I mean, it
course
shows
it is.
he's a great defender, but it's drastically worse on the offensive end.
Well, of course it is.
Now, you win championships with defense, everything like that, but if you look at Abrinas' numbers, when he's on the court, the defense has been pretty damn good still.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And so it's better than not bad. Like, he's got, as far as net defensive,
It's really not that much different, right? Like,
no, as far as net defensive rating is like on-off splits, when Abrinas is on the court versus when Robertson's on the court, it's just right under Robertson.
yeah.
Defensively.
Yep.
And so I don't know. I think that it's Billy's job to tinker with it a little bit. I think it's just short-sighted to just be like, nope, this is our starting lineup just because you paid the guy $10 million a year. You didn't know you were getting Paul George.
Right.
You didn't know some of these things that have happened. I think you got to play into your strengths a little bit. So I see a change at some point.
All right.
It's- So on that point,
I can't believe I feel this way, by the way.
I actually am not super opposed to a change to the starting lineup, but I feel like it'd be more of a Melo doing the thing that I said a while back and going and saying I'll come off the bench.
Yeah.
Although that's weird to me. I don't know if he'll actually ever do that.
Yeah.
But I think it would be interesting to just have him off the bench and
I agree.
PG and Russ together.
Who
like,
would you
like I
start?
just said, probably Grant.
Yeah, I go Grant
I
too.
really like Grant. So
All right, Jason, we're coming back to you. Legitimate or preposterous? These lost leads after the first quarter / first half are more on Billy D than the players. We've kind of already talked about this one. But
I'm gonna go ahead and say preposterous.
okay.
I definitely think it's on the
That
players.
is correct.
I agree with you as well.
It's definitely on the players. They don't look interested. Like you just said a minute ago, it's not like Billy's sitting there drawing up jab steps for Melo and telling Russ, hey, whenever you pass the ball to Paul or Melo, just go stand there and don't do anything. Like, it's clearly the players have to get comfortable with each other. They have to know what to do when
Yeah,
they don't have the ball. Like,
Billy D can't play hard for them.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He can't give them effort. It's not his job to give them effort.
Are
It's
we
his-
the only ones that call him Billy D?
No, I don't
We're not?
think so.
Okay.
I've seen it around but
Better than Donovan.
Donovan.
Billy Donovan.
Bully Donovan.
Bully Donovan.
Yeah. So preposterous.
All right, very good. This next one, back to Brandon. Again, something we've kind of already touched on. Legitimate or preposterous. Sorry. Legitimate or preposterous. We should be encouraged.
Had a heart
Just have a
attack.
mini stroke.
Ooh. We should be encouraged by these flashes of greatness rather than discouraged by the struggles.
Legitimate.
Agreed.
I think so. I think that it's probably a little closed-minded if you're I mean, I get it if you're discouraged because it's frustrating, man. It's because you see it. It goes back to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
You're so high at one point and then you just
Yeah.
what?
It's like why can't they just keep being that?
Yeah, so I think this one's short. We talked enough about it. I would say legitimate.
No, that's correct.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, this next one, we're coming back to you, Jason.
Oh,
and I've
weird
gotta
how this
get
works.
the-
I know,
the-
it's weird. It
It's
goes
like-
back and
it
forth.
goes
Dude,
one
it's-
into the other.
People are having trouble following it.
I'm just telling you, I'm a fucking genius. Okay. Legitimate or preposterous? By New Year's Day, Thunder fans will have moved on from these hiccups, and the team will be 10 games over 500. If you would like, I can read you off the games going through New Year's Day. Are you ready?
Do it quick.
Okay. We've got the Pelicans, Warriors, Pistons, at Dallas, at Portland, Minnesota.
Got to win that one, right?
San Antonio, Utah, at Brooklyn, at Memphis, Charlotte, at Indiana, at Philly, at the Knicks, Denver, Utah, Atlanta,
Okay.
at
I'm good.
Utah.
Yes. Legitimate.
Yes.
We're gonna do it.
I
We're
told you
gonna do it.
that December seems
think-
pretty good
Yeah,
for the
I,
Thunder.
I think because I said earlier like a January run or something, but I'm gonna go with December as that run.
So there's-
like you said,
There's 22
It's gonna be great.
games between now and then.
we're just gonna win all of them except
Which
for
mean,
one.
so if the Thunder had to go at least 10, they'd have to go 16-6. No, 7. They'd have to go 17-5 to be 10 over.
Whew, that's a little scary right now.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Slightly legitimate.
Legitimate.
Most likely
I don't know.
preposterous.
I'd go preposterous. on
We
that
are
one.
now to the portion of legitimate or preposterous where we are now getting into the ones that we got from Twitter. So again, shout out if you sent us a legitimate
Shouts.
or preposterous on
Shouts
Twitter.
to you guys.
The first one comes from Hayden at SkillsXBL on Twitter. He says, legitimate or preposterous? The Thunder are not a top 5 team in the league.
I say legitimate at this point. Right now, they're not.
right now.
Yeah, they're not right
Yeah,
now.
Clearly,
It's
because
not.
they're ninth.
Yeah, I mean, I
What
want them to
about
be.
April 15th? Are they top 5 in the league?
Then I say preposterous to his question, legitimate that they will be a top 5 team. I
Okay.
still have hope. Still
I'm
have
with
hope.
you. I'm with you.
Next.
Next one comes from Leo Fowler at a whole bunch of shit. Sorry, homie. I'm not going to read
No,
your
you don't
ad.
have to do their ads.
His phone numbers in there, and shit.
Dude, it's
It's my social. Put my social in there.
That way
that's my
they
16.
know it's me.
that's my 16 card digit number. All right, legitimate or preposterous? OKC will beat the Warriors on Wednesday nights.
Oh my
God
god.
damn it! I hate to say this, but you know what's coming. Preposterous.
Oh,
It's not. I don't think it's gonna happen unless they can somehow figure out a way
They put it all together on
to
that
take
one night.
to take that first quarter against the Spurs, and if they do that
In the 4th?
for 3 more quarters,
Yeah.
like add on to that first quarter, yeah. If they can do that for 48 minutes, they'll win. But it's preposterous. They're not gonna do it.
I'm so
And
scared of
it's
that
gonna
game.
be a dangerous, dangerous day for my health.
I'm frightened of that game.
All right, next one comes from Bradley Evans. I'll read his at because it's real easy. At OKC Brad Evans.
All right.
Good job
Makes
on your
sense.
Twitter at.
Brad Evans in your corner.
Legitimate or preposterous? Melo has been the best Thunder player so far.
Preposterous.
I think I agree with that.
I think he's been 4th.
Nice.
Wow.
You
okay.
put Adams above him in the 3rd.
Yep.
So is Russ in that top 4?
Yeah, I think Russ would be. God, it's really hard to say who the best
Passing
Thunder
pick.
player is, man.
My
I don't
top
even
4:
know.
Felton, Grant, Adams, Paul George.
For sure.
All right, our next one comes from Kale at Kobe Wanjanobly, which is very good.
I like that.
Ooh,
That's
nice.
Yes. Legitimate or preposterous? LeBron to OKC summer 2018.
cool. I'm gonna say preposterous.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it would be really cool. Yeah.
But it's not.
But he's probably just gonna stay in Cleveland because he's there. So why wouldn't he?
Agreed.
All right, our last one. Legitimate or preposterous? From at Marlon Crown. Only 2 of the OK3 will make the All-Star game roster.
Legitimate.
Legitimate.
Yep.
Yep.
We did have one late entry. Ben Greer says, wait, hold on. Legitimate or preposterous? Robertson gets traded at some point this year.
Jacob.
Does this year include up to the draft? Because of
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
So this year includes up until
No,
opening night.
let's say before
This
the
is
playoffs.
season.
This
This
season.
Oh, I'm going to say preposterous, but I think
I
if he gets
agree.
moved, he gets moved at draft time.
I think it's happening, guys.
don't
I think
so.
they're really high
Fuck you, man.
on Ferguson. According to Brett Dawson, they have a lot of excitement about Ferguson in that front office. So
Interesting.
Cool. They
maybe
should.
he'll be the starting 2 guard next
I
year.
just have this feeling if they can get a piece back for Robertson that they feel like can contribute in ways that they need more than what Robertson provides, I think they might do it.
I think they're nervous to trade Robertson this season in case
You
Paul
got-
George
you gotta
doesn't
know.
come back.
You
Yeah.
gotta have PG or him. You can't.
That's a fair point too.
You're just
I'm
letting them walk like that.
It's a bold prediction on my part, but I'm just saying. Hey,
Speaking of Robertson,
don't at me. That's what people say these days.
Speaking of
That's what the
Robertson's
kids do.
number, Robert Covington's deal with Philly blew my damn mind.
I like
That's-
Robert Covington. Though.
He's been good this year.
That's
good.
They got him at such a good price.
Yeah.
They did.
Such a good price. All right, sorry.
True.
All right. So we got a bunch of questions from the Reddit mailbag here.
Yeah, hopefully
yeah.
this is a thing that we can start doing more often, just kind of posting on Reddit.
Shout out to all our Reddit homies. Thank you guys
Yeah,
for
thanks so
sending us
much.
questions.
We're fairly new to the Reddit community, so we appreciate you guys for participating and getting involved, and we're going to read these off.
Yeah.
We're gonna put some music in
yeah,
this background.
Here we go.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That
Got
hit-
that groove in
that
there.
hit me where it feels good.
Okay. First one from, I can't say this, Wickelcalu or something like that.
Nailed it.
I think I got
Nailed it.
it. What's wrong with Russell Westbrook? On a scale from 1 to 10, how much of a jerk is he going to be to reporters when they ask him about his play?
An 11.
So you want to take the what's wrong with him? Is it just the mental thing we talked about already?
I think I don't know. It's really hard to say, man. I think that he's trying so hard to get. I think his plate's full.
That's exactly the analogy I was about to
Yeah.
use. I think he's overloaded. I think he's got too much on his plate.
Yeah, I think that
I think he needs to simplify.
He's trying to include these guys, Paul George, Melo, Adams, even trying to get these guys involved, make them happy, get them contributing, and he's trying to lead this team, and he's trying to play his game that takes so much out of him, anyways.
Right.
Right.
That's a good point.
I just think he needs to simplify a bit.
I like it. All right, next one. Kablobber asks how to regain will to live. This is the great question of the day.
That is a great question.
Homie, you don't. You just keep on living until the lights go out.
Just wait until
Damn,
you
that's
die.
some good dad advice. Sorry, son. The life really just sucks, and then at some point you die.
Let's
Life's
actually
a
offer
bitch,
him.
then you die.
Let's actually offer him some advice.
Yeah, let's do it.
What can we give him here?
That was my advice.
Find a hobby, find something that you're into that you really enjoy. You're like, damn, I really like coloring or some shit. I don't know.
See, what I did last night was I got really
Color?
mad that not colored. I should have colored.
You should have.
I got really mad that the Thunder lost, and then so I turned on the Xbox and I played some Call of Duty, and then I got really sad because I fucking suck at Call of Duty. So then my night was just like complete shit.
That's the worst.
Yeah,
See, if you're worried, if you're upset that the Thunder lost, you can't go do another thing that you might lose at.
Yeah, you gotta
You
do
gotta-
something
you gotta-
that's absolutely gonna be
Yeah,
positive.
you have to
Coloring is a good option.
Exactly.
Unless you
I
suck at coloring.
Yeah,
Don't
I
do it
really
then.
fucked up there.
You know
so.
people that when they color, they like outline real thick on
Oh
it?
yeah, that's the way to do it.
It is the way to do it.
Yeah.
It always looks so good. You're like,
Yeah,
I
that's
should have done that.
Shit, that looks way better
Your
than
fish is awesome.
that looks way better than mine that I just scribbled
Yeah.
on.
By the one of those adult coloring books. One time I told my dad about adult coloring books. He said, "What? I got some naked women you color or
That's
something?"
that's where my mind went.
Oh.
Is that wrong?
No,
Yeah.
that's no.
Now you just color. You, as long as you use the pink on the nipples, you're good.
All right. Well,
Some people have brown nipples, Jacob.
no, that's true. All
Nothing wrong with
right.
brown
Next
woman.
one, so we can get out of here. Reed Step. Where can Robertson fit into the offense? Sitting in the corner, missing wide open threes is clearly not working, guys.
He needs
What
to
do we
screen
do?
more.
Yeah.
He needs to screen more. He was getting to the point where he was cutting off drives that was helping an incredible amount, and it seems like he's started to get away from that again. He's got to be active and move, right? He's simply got to move. When he catches the ball, he's got to take a dribble before he swings it to make the defense shift. But like the person on Reddit said, you can't just sit there. Sitting there kills one half of the floor.
Agreed. I think he just needs to pull a classic Jason Lewis and do some backdoor cutting. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's been shooting too terribly many three-pointers.
Yeah, he hasn't. He hasn't taken too many.
So I'm not sure. Oh my
just
god.
He needs to get more involved.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Jacob's right. Screen, cut. That's it.
That's it. Screen cut, move. Do it. All right. El Moriarty wrote us a goddamn novel. And it's really long, so I'm just
Give us
going to
the
hit
good
some
parts.
highlights. He did ask at one point, where's the Oklahoman with a Mr. Unreliable page for Russ? This is proving to be a bad culture setting if you cannot hold your star players accountable. Interesting take.
That is.
So I'm going to skip some more. He's talking about Billy D not trying to pull Russ, let the lead go to shit. He's very upset. Understandably, we get it. But then he asks, Thunderheads, where do we go from here? From one frustrated fan to another, how does this team improve? New coach? Trades? P.S. I know Robes can't shoot to save his life, but is his IQ a bust too? Why can't we use Robertson like Draymond to screen, pass, and make plays? Kind of discovered that. That's kind of what he needs to do, but he's not Draymond. So.
Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't have that skill set that Draymond has. Draymond's just so good.
Yeah.
He's so good. But I think let's just stay the course.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, and I might be totally wrong, and I may have said this exact same thing last week, but I have a feeling that, we just expected the Thunder to get it together a little
too soon.
like right now.
Yeah.
And I think that we just need a few more games. If you look at, it's a comparison that a lot of people have made. That first Miami Heat team.
Yeah.
They started out 9-8. Then they went on a run, like they won like 9 in a row or something like that. 12 in a row. I don't know, somewhere around there. Somewhere between 5 and 15 in a row. And I think that's where the Thunder, maybe that's it for this team. We'll see.
Yep, I'm with you on that. I say give them till New Year's. Give
I
them
like
till
it.
New Year's and see how things are going then. Wait till football season is over. and then let's see how they've responded.
And then at that time, if they're still not playing well, maybe they'll make a New Year's resolution to play well.
Yeah,
you go.
and then give
We
it
all
to
know
the
how
always
those
have
things
hope.
work.
Yeah, and then just give until the trade deadline. No big deal. But actually, I'm okay with that. All right, next one. Hayden Connor. Is the biggest problem with this team right now Russ? He is playing quite bad. He's either on or totally off, no in between. I don't know if it's not knowing his role or just playing poorly. I think kind of that one just real quick just goes back to what you just said.
I don't know if it's. I don't know. We talked about what is the number one biggest problem with this team. I don't know that it is Russ.
I don't think so.
But I think he's a contributor to
Sure.
problems on this team.
No, I think literally everyone
Everyone.
outside of Adams, Grant, and
Felton?
and Felton are issues with this team right now. I think that it's an identity problem. They got to figure that out.
I agree.
Agreed. All right, next one. Let's see. Lord T. Do games like yesterday make you want to scream at Russ for doing dumb shit? It is also annoying how some fans don't want to hold Russ accountable. Okay. So everyone's just blaming and shitting on Russ. Also, Billy should be held accountable, of course, but you have to call bullshit on Russ as well.
Goes back to what we're saying.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves a little bit of shade here, but don't lose sight of it, man. They're 7-8. Yeah, it looks bad, but the conference. I mean, they're in 9th right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's early. They
Yeah.
started 9, or what did I say earlier? 9-6.
Yeah.
2 years ago,
It'll be okay.
and that was a team that everyone
Had been together and had chemistry.
right.
Well, and on the wanting to scream at Russ for doing dumb shit. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't tell you how much I screamed at my television last night when Russ is standing in the paint and he's guarding Danny Green, who's
then-
wide open shooting a three-pointer.
Yeah. I agree. I was just doing that a little while earlier when I watched it again like an idiot. Don't do that, guys. The Crookster, do you think that if Adams looked less rugged, say shorter hair and less of a beard, he might actually get some fucking foul calls once in a while? It's the only reason he doesn't get
Dude,
them that I can
Ginobili
think
was
of.
pulling some WWE shit last night. At one point, I thought he was just going to turn around and give old Steven Adams a stone cold stunner.
The Thunder actually did a really good job on Ginobili, who had 6 turnovers in the game, especially right when he first came in. They were just disrupting everything Ginobili was trying to do, which was funny.
Kicked
to
his
me.
cane out from under him.
Yes, they were doing everything.
It's an
just
old
to-
person joke.
Yeah,
There
disturb
was
him.
some stuff in the lane though that Adams is. People can be very, very, very physical with Adams and not get foul calls, and I think the refs do that because they know Adams is a physical player, and that pisses me off. A
Maybe-
foul is a foul is a foul.
Maybe he needs to work on
His
flopping
flopping.
a little bit.
According to my dad, next time somebody brings Adams to the ground, he needs to, quote, put that fucking elbow on the top of his head.
Oh. I think he actually did hit somebody right in the Murray or Anderson last
Anderson.
night, right in the face, which was pretty.
Big old forehead.
It was pretty nice. Yeah, that guy looks weird. All right,
I like
Kyle
it, though.
Anderson is
It's
ugly.
pretty cool that he looks that way.
He is ugly, dude.
12-foot jump shot says, why is it that the Thunder always look awesome in first quarters, putting big leads on teams, only to lose those leads and fail to close the games out down the stretch? Are other teams making adjustments and we aren't responding?
I think a little bit of that. I think it's definitely a little bit of that. And maybe that goes to Billy Donovan, right?
Yeah, I mean, a little, yeah. Yeah.
He's got to find a way to speak to this team. They have to, everyone has to be on the same page.
Yes.
As it goes in this podcast, we all have to be on the same page.
Right.
Any sort of team that wants to be successful, you got to be on the same page. And this team, I still think, is just trying to get there a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think this team is starting off games doing the things that we want them to do, doing the things that Billy wants them to do.
Exactly.
And as the game goes on, they start to slip out of those habits.
Yeah.
And then it's
hard to get back in, right?
It starts to go south. Yeah, and then it gets hard to get back in. And then they start to force things, And so
Yeah, and
I think if they can stay the course, and that's what the person's asking, and I get that. But if they can stay the course, and I think that first quarter looks so good because they're doing the things that they need to be doing, and then they slowly start to slip away whenever adversity comes up.
agreed. All right, next one. Maybe. Let's see. Thunder Buckets 33. How impressed have you been with Alex's all-around improvement this year? We kind of answered that already earlier. And then he asked another one. Has Russell lost confidence in his shot, therefore deferring more and causing more turnovers?
I think this is a good question. Has he? I think
Has
he
he?
has.
A little bit. Well,
I think it's more in. I think he likes. He's better when he dribbles into a shot, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that he's had less opportunity to do that. And usually, when he is dribbling into a shot, It's in transition or whatever. He's looking to make a play. He's looking to get other guys involved now when he gets those opportunities. And so they're few and far between. And so he's just not in a rhythm. He's really struggled getting in a rhythm.
I think that's a huge point on him is his trying to get other people involved has made him have to make decisions that he used to not have to.
Yeah.
When it was like, I'm taking this shot, or if I see somebody out of the corner of my eye, I can hit him. But most likely I'm taking the shot, and it's a lot more thinking involved now.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. I'm not going that he's not confident in his shot, because I don't believe Russell Westbrook is ever unconfident in anything. And after that barrage against Dallas, where he was just lighting him up,
right.
I don't think he lacks confidence in his shot. I think, again,
he's overthinking.
It goes back to the plate thing. He's got too much on his plate. He's overthinking things. Okay, I got to this spot. Do I need a pass? Do I need to do this? Do I need a lob? Okay, I'll jump shoot it.
Yeah.
And when you're going through that much of a mental process, you're not getting into your natural rhythm and your natural shooting motion.
It goes back to what we've said before. Just play basketball.
Exactly.
The whole team needs to just play basketball.
Agreed. All right. White Hawk 918. I think the Thunder as a team needs to slow down in the first half. Do you guys think PG-13 needs more touches in the first quarter? He's our best player.
He needs more touches in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he needs he just needs good touches. I think they need to make his touches higher quality.
Yeah.
Better positions. So when you're trying to get Paul George involved, stop making him the recipient of the very first pass.
Right.
To start the offense,
Where he just sits there and dribbles for a minute.
Because how many possessions against the Spurs did you see one pass shot, one pass shot, one pass shot, one pass shot?
So many.
Get him involved in some action where you run a little decoy, where you run a little deception, something.
That's what I want.
Where it's not just one screen, Paul George comes and gets the ball, and that's it.
And on that point, I think Paul George is the one person who will actually move off the ball. If you don't throw it to him right away, like he's the one guy that outside of or on that big three that is gonna move.
I agree.
Agreed.
All right, last one. Laura Lately says, what do you think of fans calling for Billy D's head? There's Billy D again, see? Other people using it. I've posted before that I hate to be that fan, as I bleed blue and orange, and Billy is family. But Drunk Me...
That's his daughter?
but Drunk Me has a few beers during the game and starts posting that Billy can't coach a pro-length game, as he's a college coach. College games are 8 minutes shorter than pro-length games, and we usually break down at some point in the fourth. Drunk Me is a bitter bitch. But is she right?
Excellent post.
That's a great
post.
question.
I don't know. I mean, it's a theory, I guess, and you can probably find some stats or something to back it up. But you can also go back to 2 years ago in Billy's first year in the NBA, where he took the Thunder to, within a quarter of reaching the NBA Finals against the best regular season team of all time.
It wasn't for a certain very tall person giving up.
And maybe less than that. So I kind of just put the emphasis on that Warrior series. Go to a series before that against the Spurs, where he outcoached Popovich, at least from the looks of the series. He really did. So I don't know. I think sometimes with coaches it can be personnel matching up. Does his personality match the roster's personality? And maybe that's an issue right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and one thing to me too is I've seen a lot of people get tired of hearing look at what he did in that Spurs series, or look at what he did against the Warriors. But also you got to think about this guy's had so much turnover on his team and has had so many different teams, and now the guys that he has like this is a process that he has to go through, and they had to go through that every year so far. So you've seen in the past that he can make these teams come together and gel.
And it's not like he's been in the NBA for 20 years.
Right.
So he doesn't know Paul George completely.
Right.
He doesn't know Carmen. These are guys that were in the East last year.
Right.
He plays them twice every year. That's
That's
most.
a great point.
So, he doesn't know a lot about them besides some film that he's watched in the 4 total games that he's played against each of them.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that maybe that goes to it.
Hey, it's notes time.
Notes! All right, just a few notes today. The Oklahoma City Blue announced a partnership with News 9 Plus, formerly KSBI, in Oklahoma City to air all of its games, and they'll also be on the radio at 105.3 FM. If you guys are wanting to catch some Blue games, Terrence Ferguson played on the team the other night.
Our dreams have come true. They're on TV.
Oh my God, I can't wait. We should actually go to a couple games.
I would be down.
Yeah, you can sit literally on the court, I think.
I've done that once.
Just like Indian style. You just sit there on the court for free. You can catch glimpses of Daniel Hamilton and PJ Dozier, the two-way players.
Number 35.
Little bit
player.
of the Thunder future. The Air
Trip my toes.
The
Yeah,
Air
he does
Jordan Russ 32 releases on Wednesday, which is the same night the Thunder host the Warriors.
Those are some pretty sick shoes too.
Purpose? Was that on purpose?
Oh,
Probably.
Has to be. Of course.
So, you think Russ is going to wear those and not have to change them at halftime, hopefully?
That's the hope, right?
I would hope so. That would look bad for the brand.
Yeah. Per our guy, Brett Dawson, the Thunder is launching a new initiative to help educate its former players for careers after the court. The first participant, Nazi Muhammad.
Like him.
Of course it is, and yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it is
I
really
love
cool.
Nazi.
They've built a curriculum that focuses on building fundamentals such as player evaluation, salary cap education, player development, technology, and presentations, sports science, analytics, and other areas.
So basically, they're grooming people to be future GMs.
Yeah. And maybe work within their organization and stuff, which is a cool thing that they're doing.
Maybe they'll let me have a class.
Just sneak in.
Yeah. I'm tall.
Send an email.
I look like Nazi.
Oh. You look like what?
Huh? Nazi Muhammad.
Okay.
We're
It
twins.
sounded like you said Nazi. I was like,
did.
what?
Well, it's very. His name's very close.
It is close. The Z is pronounced different. KD said some things again, guys.
Yeah.
I wish that dude would shut the fuck up,
What's wrong with him?
dude. And now he's
He's
saying
an attention whore.
He is. Jacob just had to go off and he's like, I'm not even worth my time.
I
dude."
like it. It's not worth our
It's
time.
not.
fuck that guy.
What's the reception going to be like on Wednesday?
He's gonna get booed. It's not gonna be as big of a spectacle as it was his first game back.
Yeah.
But I wish, like,
I just want it to be over.
I just want the Thunder fans to be like, okay, we don't fucking care
Yeah, we
anymore.
don't
Like,
even
screw
care
this
about
guy, and then let KD be the bitter one, and don't have the bitterness back. Because that dude, he's now claiming like mental illness on why he posted those tweets and stuff. Like
He did what? I
yeah,
didn't see
he
that.
said it was a disassociative episode.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's claiming that now he has mental illness.
Huh.
His mental illness, he's a fucking pussy.
Oh.
Sorry.
Wow.
I think he is very insecure. I think that he's got issues, and I think
Yeah.
that he's never going to be able to let go
How do you think
of what he did. He's never going to be. He's never going to be able to come to grips with the decision he made because
'cause
he
it was a
knows.
stupid one.
He knows in his mind that it is a weak decision. He knows,
Yep.
and he's unable to just say, you know what, whatever, it's over.
Yeah.
He's going to constantly look back.
How do you think the Warriors, like front office and like GM and president and all that, feel about him like constantly like going out of his
They
way
don't
to
like
say
it.
this
They've
stuff?
already said they didn't like it.
Yeah, they probably don't like it, but they probably don't really care because they're so freaking good.
Yeah.
But I'm
Damn.
sure they would like him to be more focused on that team because if he's 100% focused on that team and everyone on that team is, that they're probably unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's annoying
So
about it.
do you think they retire his jersey here someday?
Yeah, one day they will.
I think they will too.
I think I'm gonna buy a OKC PJ Dozier jersey and wear it on Wednesday night.
The Thunder will debut their statement jerseys this Friday against the Detroit Pistons. You guys have seen those. They debuted them in the offseason. Well, not debuted them. They kind of revealed them in the offseason. Sent Paul George to take the pictures and everything. They're really
They
cool.
look incredible.
Yeah,
They're the best ones in the league.
I think they're going to go on sale around the same time, too. So, and we were
I
talking
think,
about...
I think you can order them on NBA.com now.
Really?
But they don't ship until next week.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And we talked about it pre-pod a little bit. We're planning on doing a little contest, a little giveaway for one of those statement jerseys. So we'll figure out the details on that and let you guys know. Last but not least, I mentioned Ferguson playing with the Blue. I think he scored 24 in his sole appearance with the Blue. Daniel Hamilton had a triple-double.
Yep.
Learning from
More
the great
than
Russell.
just the 24, Ferguson just fit in perfectly and looked very comfortable and wasn't forcing and was doing all the right things, which is really promising. You know, more than just the stats.
Yep. Up next, Monday, at New Orleans. New Orleans been okay. Two big boys.
Who might not have Anthony Davis
Right.
because of concussion protocol.
Yep. Wednesday, the Warriors come to town. That's basically a Friday for everyone because Thanksgiving's the next day. Friday, the actual Friday, Pistons come to town. Then Saturday, second night of a back-to-back, Thunder got to go down to Dallas and play the terrible Mavericks. Guys, Justin lost a point last week. Jacob, you lost a point. Rob lost a point. Jason,
Yeah,
you're
we
at
knew.
me and you are at
We know
5.
what's up.
What do you guys got this week? I know Justin's going 3-1. Rob's going 3-1. Jacob, what do you got?
I'll go 3-1.
Pelicans, Warriors, Pistons, Mavericks. You're going 3-1.
They're going to lose to the Warriors. They'll come back. They'll bounce back against the Pistons, who are actually playing really good basketball this season.
Yeah, they really are.
And,
That's actually.
Russ will be fired up to go up against Reggie Jackson.
You know what?
And Ish Smith. Ish Smith revenge game.
Dude, Ish Smith can ball.
I'm actually going 2-2 here.
I don't
I
blame
think
you.
we're going to drop that Pistons game because Russ is going to be too fired up to go against Reggie
Ooh, you're taking the Pistons as the loss, huh?
and the Warriors, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah.
You're going 2-2 also?
2-2.
Woo, we are down on these guys.
Well, I mean,
but hey, we're right though.
oh wow. I hope not. I mean, I hope you guys are right. I hope 4-0.
That would be sweet.
It would be sweet. Be nice to see him catch their stride
I'd
a
be
little
down to do something embarrassing.
bit. All right, thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter at OKC Thunderheads. Jacob's over at ThunderMob405. Subscribe on iTunes. Rate and review, please. That would be so awesome of you. Helps us out a lot. Find us on Facebook. Check us out on SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, Overcast,
The YouTubes.
and YouTube.
The boob
I keep
tubes.
forgetting to mention
Yeah,
this.
subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're doing these live pods every single time. There'll be video. If you're a video person, you can watch the podcast. Yeah, do that. Head over to OKCThunderheads.com for all the podcasts, including the video of the podcast, blogs, and comfy t-shirts. If you want one, you can order them right there at our store.
Comfy.
Big week for the Thunder coming up, so we will catch you guys with the podcast on Tuesday. Till then, and as always, Thunder up.